Greetings. Today's trade blast focuses on the fact that Tesla's stock price is taking off again based on some developments from last evening. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. Also wanted to note to our Patreon supporters, we greatly appreciate your help, as well as our subscribers. We had a funny thing happen today, which is our top tier of Patreon supporters. I actually called them both this morning to explain that we actually thought that Tesla's stock price would actually be kind of explosive to the upside today. And so for those of you who are not registered on Patreon, you don't get the benefit of our direct text/calls when we see something unusual starting to occur. And that's what we want to cover today. So there's a situation that's emerged with Tesla, as you know, where the sheriff indicated that they were going to, that Tesla was non-essential and therefore they were shutting down the production plant in Fremont. So this debate has been going back and forth. The announcements of this shutdown is what forced the stock of Tesla to 350 or just below for a moment there. So the new development that's occurred that we're covering right now in this trade blast is the fact that Elon, so basically, if you read between the lines, what's actually happening right now is that it was announced, there seems to be a deal that has been worked out. What that deal is that Tesla is not going to exceed 2,500 employees on site. And so by them cutting this deal, it facilitates Tesla having 2,500 employees on site, but it doesn't take that many people to sweep the floors or write the payroll checks because that's actually done electronically. So Elon is actually continuing to produce. Now, the sheriff has indicated that the rules that are governing the area currently indicate that Tesla is not allowed to produce. It was our estimate, our understanding that Tesla would have to shut down based on this. But if further reading of the statements that were made indicate that currently the plan is for it to be somewhat of a voluntary participation, and that compliance had been achieved with most companies. In the case of Tesla, there seems to have been some kind of an agreement that instead of Tesla having its full complement of 10,000 employees at the facility, they're going to be able to drop down to 2,500. What this then means is that Tesla is able to continue production and we think exceed their production goals for the quarter. So if this actually occurs, Tesla actually exceeds its profit and revenue numbers for a number of reasons we've covered on this show. And this is why the stock price is up today. So we wanted to note to you that it looks right now like clearly Tesla is being able to produce. That's what the jump in price is about. But we'll get further information to confirm this, which we think potentially pushes the stock up nicely. It was up $75 on the early. It's sort of pulled back thus far. But I think as more people get wind of the fact that the company will not be shut down, there's a potential for it to be up, maybe $100, $150 for the day is not out of the realm of possibility. So we wanted to sort of jump on and do this trade blast in that regard. The other subtext to this whole thing that's going on right now is I've been trying to come up with a clever name for it, but another one that you could say is that the big dog has to eat. And what this involves is the fact that Tesla/Elon Musk is open to spending as much as possible to have the best lawyers in Silicon Valley or anywhere in the country represent him. What this results in is that a threat sort of comes across in this space, which is that if the authorities do want to shut him down and there's an administrative process involving lawyers that might be involved, that process for shutting Tesla down could take 2 or 3 years in the courts based on the price point that Tesla uses when it comes to attorneys. So as a result, this kind of results in a sort of crazy situation where the company is able to keep producing. And, one of the questions that's sort of lurking in the background here is why is Tesla able to continue production given that there was a shutdown order? And I think that the answer to this is that it's one thing for this to be a regular activity that everybody knows how to deal with. It's another thing where you have a new administrative process, which is this shutdown that's occurring for the first time. So the underpinnings of this really haven't been totally worked out. So as a result, with most companies complying, there was no need to start the whole, are we going to have to battle this out in court? I do believe that Elon/Tesla has enough money that they could put whatever the budget is for Alameda County. I think they could put that kind of budget or that amount of legal fees on Alameda County over a certain period of time if they want to go to war. So I believe that based on all this, it's the basis for why the stock price is up, and I think it's the basis for why it's going to continue to make a run, because it's my belief that Elon is going to make his numbers this quarter, and he's going to make his numbers next quarter, and he can't be outspent when it comes to legal fees. So it kind of puts this whole situation into the legal realm. And once you get into the legal realm and you have really expensive attorneys that come from the best schools in the world, we're saying that our argument, like with the OJ trial, is that Elon's got too much money that he can throw at attorneys that will throw themselves at the county to ensure this facility remains open. So there is this discussion also of the 2,500 people that are allowed. And the question is, what's up with that number? The answer I'm coming up with is that it's a number that's out there. Tesla has the ability to be relatively lightly manned based on how automated they are compared to other manufacturers around the country. So I think as the dust starts to settle on this, this could be a colossal disaster around the world for manufacturing entities, because Tesla is elected to go very heavy towards the dreadnought as an 80% automation. And if that automation will enable Tesla to deliver a fraction of the number of people and reduce the chance of coronavirus or even eliminate it, this will put competitors in a bad position, because Tesla will be able to continue to produce through this situation, despite the fact that all the other automakers in the United States have had to shut down, at least the US automakers that are based in the north. I haven't heard anything yet about what's happening to all the foreign and domestic manufacturing that's in the south, as in Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina. But in essence, we could be in a kind of a crazy situation here where Tesla ends up being one of the few manufacturers globally that's able to operate. And they could actually end up taking a lot of market share if other entities run out of cars to sell and Tesla still has them. So I think the dust is going to settle and we're going to hear what the real story is on this, or the backstory. But our assessment of it, and we sort of were making calls on this morning to our top Patreon supporters, was just to explain that things have kind of changed. The County of Alameda is going to allow this to go into the courts. And if they do, Tesla has a complete advantage there, which will allow it to continue to operate while this thing is worked out. And if that happens, and you add up the legal capabilities that Tesla has and can marshal, I think you end up with this being perhaps a win. It's in the short term, there's nothing that you guys can do about it. I can do what I want because I've got the best attorneys around. And on the longer term, the county might win out. but when is that realized and enforced? And I think that suppose in theory they could get an injunction as a possibility, but the challenge that pops up is with some of the types of lawyers that they have available to argue cases on their behalf. I really think that the county has made the decision to negotiate something where you have a minimization of employees, therefore a minimization of potential coronavirus victims in the space. And by doing so, you end up with a deal completed that allows Tesla to make a run or keep running without impediment. So at any rate, we'll see how this all plays out. I really think that it is a very big deal for Tesla because I think the company is going to exceed profit and revenue numbers, and they can do it during the coronavirus because of the dreadnought strategy that Elon has pursued both in the United States and in China. And if that is the case, we're in a situation where Tesla could gain major share as others are forced to shut down in deference to how the corona hits their parts of the world. So we very much look forward to your comments. I've tried to keep track of a few of them as they've come across. This is a trade blast, not a full show. Just wanted to remind you, don't forget 25 leg lifts a day on each leg to ensure you maintain sort of strength in the knees. Also wanted to encourage you to don't go to bed with 2 hours of eating, 35 SPF or better if you're going to be outdoors for skin cancer avoidance. Also wanted to encourage you to think about a 5-2 or some other diet in that fasting zone. What a wild day, what an interesting sort of double change on Tesla, and the fact that it's time to sort of look at perhaps the call side and funds on or getting back in as Tesla is able to beat this shutdown order. At any rate, thanks again for joining us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. We look forward to our next opportunity to share with you. Just a reminder, if you were on Patreon at the 300 level, you would have caught a call this morning at 6 a.m. about this situation and been able to trade it, but you didn't. So now you have to roll with the markets as we have them. Please take time to like and subscribe, and don't forget the Patreon support. Have a great day. Thanks.